longest-running off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet is coming to you live with the biggest guest in motorsports. Here is the only man on the planet who can pack this much dirt slinging and tire slaying into 2 hours a week. Sit back, strap in, and be prepared to get your ears blown. Here is Jim Beaver and the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
All right. Welcome to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver here, locked and loaded for a fun one today, right here in the Razor Studios. It's going to be a fun one. Had lots of racing action. I know I've kind of been bouncing around. We got a big announcement here in the first segment that we're going to drop on you. Talking about guests, talking about the show today. Last week, our good friends at Continental Tire. So a lot of you know I've been pimping General Tire for a while now. Well, you know what? Continental Tire, also a part of the General Tire family. I guess you can slide Hoosier in there as well. But General Continental Tire, as they are known, Continental Tire up and decided to make an announcement last week. Boom! Yes, we are going Stadium Super Trucks racing. Wow, that one came out of left field, right? Which means we're going to talk about it today, and we've got the Continental Tire driver. So that team, we'll dive into the makings of that team here in the first segment as well. But that team includes Ryan Beat. That is right, Rowdy Ryan Beat, your Lucas Oil points leader. He is one of the drivers of the Continental Tire Stadium Super Truck. So we're going to have Rowdy Ryan Beat on the show. He also happened to take a podium in his Stadium Super Truck's debut. So stoked to have Ryan on the show. I've also got my good friend Matt Martelli. Matt, he's going to be calling in, talking about the UTV World Championship. He's the kingpin over there at Mad Media. He's going to be talking about that event coming up next week. We've also got Tiffany Stone calling in to talk all things off-road and whatever the hell else Tiffany Stone is up to. And then here in one of the first segments in hour number one of my favorite parts of the entire show, we are going to be doing some power rankings. That is right, power rankings, and my boy Chris Leone that manages the website and all of our media here at the Down and Dirty Radio Show and Project Action and all of our other assets. He's going to be calling in to help me dissect what happened this past weekend in motorsports with our ever-popular power rankings. So it is going to be one hell of a fun show today. Like I always say, all killer, no filler, right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. So hang tight. It's going to be one hell of a ride today, right here. Extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on four wheels? The Polaris Razor brings it to you, but you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris Razor because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team Razor because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris Razor because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRazor.com or follow at Polaris Razor on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story.
The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, a 268-horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine, rockets the WRX around corners and down straightaways. A race-ready 305-horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine keeps the WRX STI a rally legend. The Subaru WRX and WRX STI, it's not a sibling rivalry, it's a tag team. Get the latest from Subaru Rally Team USA at Subaru.com/rally.
Whether you're looking for a tire that balances high performance responsiveness and traction in wet and light snow conditions, excellent handling and traction in wet and dry conditions, or a summer performance tire designed with the driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has you covered. From the all-new G-Max RS to the Grabber ATX, no matter what you drive, General Tire will get you where you're going. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. General Tire, cruising with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Hey, well, welcome back here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver here, holding it down for episode number, what episode are we? I guess we should click over and see, right? 378. Yes, we are cranking out 378 plus episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show, and that means that ever infamous number 400 will be coming at some point this year. I believe it's in September, but we'll keep cranking them out until then. Looking forward to that one, though. We're going to do something special for that. But speaking of special, we do have a special announcement. It's only happened now, 7, 8 years in here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. It's only happened one other time. So about 3 years ago, we announced I would be doing a second weekly show called Project Action over on Podcast One, right? Been highly successful. We've had a ton of fun with Project Action, interviewed all kinds of celebrities, badasses, action sports stars, actors, musicians, race car drivers, athletes, and that show isn't going anywhere. Neither is the Down and Dirty Radio Show powered by Polaris Razor. But tomorrow, we are launching our third weekly show. Yes, that is right. We're going to be doing 3 weekly shows, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now, if you're listening in national syndication or on demand, you can listen to the Down and Dirty Radio Show whenever you want, as well as the other shows. That's just when they drop. But starting this Wednesday, which is tomorrow, if you're tuning in live, we have the Four Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor, obviously, off-road edition. So you guys have been telling me, so we started out, we were off-road only, and we grew so big, we started encompassing all kinds of action motorsports and NHRA, IndyCar, and I love it. The show is, one of the top-rated motorsport shows in the country, but it's time to go back to our roots, and we can't do it with this show. We're still going to cover off-road on this show just like we always do, but it's become a smaller part of this show instead of the whole show being focused around it. You guys have been talking to me. You're like, Jimmy, we want off-road. We want off-road. And I hear you. And this is what we're doing. Our friends at Four Wheel Parts are tag teaming it with us. They're coming on board as well as Polaris Razor. And we are going to be doing an off-road only show starting tomorrow, Wednesday. So, yes, the Four Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Radio Show off-road edition drops next Wednesday, which is tomorrow. And I think you guys are going to be stoked on it. So if you want to get it, if you're listening in national syndication, sorry, it won't be nationally syndicated. It is going to be podcast form. It won't be live like this show either. It's going to be strictly straight up podcast. If you want it, you'll have to go to downanddirtyshow.com. You can also go to Spreaker, iHeart, Podcast One, those places. But the best place to do it will be go and subscribe on iTunes. It will be using the same feed as this show, the Down and Dirty Radio Show. So it won't be a second feed. I know Project Action has its own feed. The off-road edition won't. It will be the same feed as the Down and Dirty Radio Show. So if you're already subscribed on iTunes, good news. You're already going to get it. But if you're not, you want to go over to iTunes right now, boom, subscribe, and you're going to get them both pumped into your, into your phone every single week. Or you can go and check out the website and, and stream it, and it's going to be on YouTube and everything else. So, but yeah, very, very excited to announce that we are going to have our third weekly show starting this week, and then We've also got some other massive news on the radio front. That is coming next week. I can't tell you quite what's going to happen yet, but I can tell you that minds will be blown tomorrow. That is right. Tomorrow, minds will, not tomorrow, but next week, minds will officially be blown because we're blowing the roof off this radio thing starting next week. So that's about what I got to lead with today. It's been a hell of a weekend. Went up to Prescott. Love Prescott. Whiskey Row. Good times at Whiskey Row. If you haven't ever been to Prescott, whether you go in the summer, winter, whatever, it's one of, and I say this, but actually everybody else will tell you this too, including like national media. It's like one of the top 10 like towns or top 25 towns in the country. Love Prescott. I call it Prescott. People call it Prescott that live there. I don't know, whatever. You can call it whatever you want. Anyways, I love Prescott, Arizona, and I know we've got actually a couple of friends up there, Jake Carver, Brandon Sims, Factory Razor Racing guys. They live up in Prescott. I was up there over the weekend. Just had some fun and, kind of got out of town and recharged the batteries a bit. So good times there. But while I'm up there, the big news coming out of last week, and I was able to catch the live streams, Stadium Super Trucks. I'm really excited about this. They announced that Continental Tire was now one of the tire providers in Stadium Super Trucks, which I think is great. Toyo Tires obviously has been with Robbie Gordon since the beginning in that series. But if you remember going back to the start, they used to have like Pro Comp tires, Toyo Tires, I believe maybe even BF Goodrich is involved. And then they went to spec-only tire with Toyo. Now they've brought in Continental Tire, which I think is amazing. They're a part of the General Tire family. They're using the Continental branding for Stadium Super Trucks, but they're running a Continental all-terrain tire on the Stadium Super Trucks. So I think that is that's pretty damn cool. And what's even cooler is now there's going to be, I think, 4 trucks that are Continental Tire trucks, 3 or 4, I can't remember. But the drivers that are going to be driving those trucks, I know that they've got the main title-sponsored Continental Tire truck, and that truck is going to be driven by Ryan Beat, who is one of our guests today. He was the first driver. They got Sheldon Creed, this kid, amazing. And then they've also got Greg Biffle, who we knew. Actually, you know him from NASCAR, but he took a podium last year in Stadium Super Truck. So Biffle, Creed, and Ryan Beat, those 3 are going to be driving a Stadium Super Truck in 2019 for Continental Tire. So really, really excited about that news. Continental Tire getting involved. And, you've heard it on this show before. I am all for tire wars in motorsports. I hate motorsport where you have one tire and it's a spec tire and that's it. I think it's crap. I think when you open up the tire companies, you open up competition, tires get better, racers have options. It's not a monopoly where one guy gets everything and then everybody else is, got to buy them or whatever. I think this is good. It's good for motorsport. It's good for any series that allows more than one tire manufacturer. The last thing you want is is spec tires for a series. I've never agreed with it, and I think any series that opens it up for tire wars, it does nothing but good things. So super stoked on this announcement from Stadium Super Trucks. It's a big storyline in off-road. I know I don't know how many outlets are covering it, but to me this is a blockbuster news, and stoked to see Continental Tire, jumping into the off-road space. Generally they use the General Tire brand for off-roading, but kind of rad to see Continental Tire there. Maybe with the IndyCar tie-in and the crowds they've got there, makes for a better fit than General Tire. But anyways, I don't know, man. I am just stoked on that, and it makes me wonder when I'm going to get out to a Stadium Super Truck race. Maybe Texas Motor Speedway. I don't know. We'll have to see. Texas sounds like a pretty solid one. I don't know. I'll have to see where else they're going. I don't know. Lots. Their schedule's one thing about SST. It's always kind of in flux, and that's in a good way. They have their X amount of events set, and then after that, it's like, hey, how many can we bring in? You know what I mean? And say some track in Australia says, hey, we want you guys. Boom, they'll add it into the schedule. So it's like they've got a loose schedule where they can always add in more dates. So I don't know. Maybe something will pop up. I need to get out to one though. I'm going to miss Long Beach this year because I'm going to be calling the Lucas Oil races in Chandler. So. Going to miss SST there at Long Beach for sure. So, we are going to to take a short break right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show powered by Polaris Razor. And, when we come back, we're going to have my boy Chris Leone right here on the show talking power rankings. If you got any suggestions on power rankings, who you thought was hot over the weekend, it is at JimBeaver15 on Twitter. Yeah, hit me up on Twitter. Let me know who you think ought to be in the power rankings. Anyways, at JimBeaver15, we'll be back after this on the Down and Dirty Radio Show powered by, that's right, Polaris Razor. Are you looking for a place to push yourself behind the wheel and see how your driving skills stack up? Dirtfish Rally School is that place. Located on 315 acres of pristine automotive playground at the foot of the Cascade Mountains in Snoqualmie, Washington, right outside of Seattle, Dirtfish Rally School is a one-of-a-kind place where everyone from first-time drivers to seasoned professionals like Bucky Lassick and Antoine Lestage can push themselves to their limit. Whether driving the high-performance rally-prepped all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza STI is what you're looking for, or you'd rather hang it all out in the rear-wheel drive Subaru BRZs, Dirtfish Rally School has something for everyone. Classes are available from 2 hours to 3 full days and feature instructors with over 150 years of combined racing experience. Whether you're looking to become the best and get an edge on the competition, or just looking to freshen your skills behind the wheel, Dirtfish Rally School is the place to go. For more information on registering for classes, visit Dirtfish on the web at dirtfish.com, or to check out the latest happenings from Dirtfish, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dirtfish Rally.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'd like to welcome my, media communications director. I don't know, what are you, Chris?
I am whatever you need to be on, whatever you need me to be on whatever given day, Jim. That's what I am.
All right. So the guy pretty much that, well, if you see some content come out and it's from one of my channels, chances are, if you don't hear my voice, it's actually Chris and it's not me. So just disclaimer, people, I don't always post everything that you see. It's sometimes, most of the time it's Chris. But anyways, Chris, welcome to I don't know how the hell we got derailed that easy, but wow, this is not the way to start out a segment. Stop, pause, reverse it, right? No,
you want to just restart?
No, we're good.
We can just restart.
No, we're totally good. We're rolling with this, man. We are rolling with this. All right. Anyways, power rankings. This is my favorite part of the show. It's become my favorite part of the show. You and I have been power rankings junkies for like years. We used to, going back to GRC days, and like I don't know what it is about power rankings, but I feel like you can quantify things or like, I guess, you can take all these different things and kind of put them into, and I know it's very subjective, but like, I don't know, to me, it gives me clarity with certain situations when you're able to do power rankings. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as you're basically adhering to a set, a set of principles, just ethos, whatever it is behind what you're doing. I mean, it's always fun to take this incredibly diverse crop of drivers, this diverse group of races, and try to make sense of them all and how they fold into the course of any given weekend. I mean, as we've talked about before, we'll fold in a little bit of history along the way. We'll fold in a little bit of if somebody's on a hot streak or if they might have gone back-to-back at a track 2 years in a row. But, it's really is just kind of a summation of the previous 7 days in motorsports, Monday to Sunday. And we had some fantastic events this weekend. We had Supercross. We had IndyCar finally making its debut at Circuit of the Americas, some stock car racing along the way. It was a good weekend for racing.
Yeah, it was definitely a good weekend for racing. It wasn't like we had a bunch of off-road series in action. Stadium Super Trucks obviously was, but yeah, it was interesting. I guess I know we only got a 12-minute segment. I've got my 5, and then I actually had 2 honorable mentions that we'll throw in at the end. Just guys I didn't fit in the list, but I thought they were worth noting. So who did you have at number 5, Chris, on your list?
Well, Jim, I had Will Power at number 5, and obviously the way that the end of the race at COTA went down for him was a heartbreaker. The late caution with Felix Rosenquist really screwed up Will's race, and then obviously they had trouble on pit road. But he was dominating that race. He was well on his way to winning from the pole and picking up a 6-figure bonus for doing so. And, I know that obviously the way that the standings played out after the race obviously doesn't show quite how dominant Will Power was. Anytime that you lead most of the race and you're not at least on the podium is an absolute heartbreaker. But, he at the very least deserves mention on this list, and so he comes in as my number 5.
All right. Yeah, that's no arguments on my end. I will say Will Power wasn't on my list, but totally understand why you had him there. My number 5, obviously, I kind of lean towards the dirt guys, but Blade Hildebrand taking his very first ever Stadium Super Trucks win. This kid is an up-and-comer. I've watched him. I know the family well. He's been amazing to watch his career. He's getting faster and faster. He can drive just about anything. It's been amazing to see how he's transitioned to the asphalt and Stadium Super Trucks. And I got to tell you, Stadium Super Trucks, I don't think people give that series. They see the high-flying trucks and the sliding. That series, you look down the list, and, I mean, you've got guys like Robbie Gordon, who, he's a motorsports legend. I mean, Matty Brabham has raced in the Indy 500, and he comes from a family legacy. I mean, bouncing in and out, you got guys like Greg Biffle and, Paul Tracy's raced. IndyCar drivers, like, that series is not an easy series to win in because there's so much talent. And for a dirt kid like Hildebrand to come in and win in Stadium Super Trucks, I got him on my list at number 5. So, yeah, I don't know. How's your list shaping up at number 4 there, Chris?
Well, first of all, I got to say, Blade didn't quite make my list. I just couldn't fit him in there. I definitely respected the performance he put on, getting that first victory and celebrating a little too hard, too, which was fantastic.
Yeah, that was
video
funny.
Content. But number 4, yes, number 4, I am going to go with Marvin Musquin. Obviously, missing the Red Cross flag is a bit of a bonehead. We got to get that out of the way, but the fact of the matter is Marvin's gone back-to-back now. He finally broke through a couple of weeks ago. He's got 2 victories now in hand. He didn't gain any points on his teammate Cooper Webb because of the penalty that he got. And, it's a penalty we've seen in Supercross before. I know that people were a little upset that the victory wasn't stripped, but they changed the rule book a couple of years ago, and now it's a points penalty. But regardless, Marvin's got back-to-back victories. It's KTM is really dominating right now. They're 1 and 2 in points, and Blake Baggett on the privateer, the Rocky Mountain ATV, they're running in the top 5 as well. So those bikes have been great, but Marvin has really kind of been the class of the group over the past couple of weeks. So he comes in at my number 4.
Yeah, it's been interesting with Supercross how things have kind of. I don't know. It's kind of like this year's gone in cycles where one team gets hot, another team gets hot, another team gets hot, at least in the 450s. You know what I mean? So, no arguments with Marvin at 4. My number 4 happened to have Matty Brabham. And the reason why I had Matty there, and a lot of people will be like, why didn't you put Blade there? This and that, Matty, man, this kid's coming off a championship. The year prior, he damn near won a championship. He's got momentum in his favor to come in the opening rounds, I guess, quote unquote, of this year's Stadium Super Trucks Championship, and take a victory. I don't know. I just felt like the guy with a target on his back when you can go into the opening weekend and win a race. That's a statement win there. So that's why I gave him I guess better than Blade Hildebrand, but I had Matty Brabham at number 4. So how's 3 on your list?
Man, I feel bad for not putting any of the SST guys on my actual top 5 list, especially since that we do as much SST coverage as we can on the site. But my number 3, I've got to go down to Virginia. I got to go to Martinsville. Brad Keselowski, without the flu this time, managed to take the victory. But not only that, the man led 446 out of 500 laps. It makes for a boring race in some aspects, but it makes for a dominant race, and that's exactly what you're looking for when you're putting a list like this together. I had him at number 2 at first, but when I get to my number 2, I'll explain why I had to give somebody else the nod for that spot.
All right. Well, Keselowski, I will say he's on my list. I just haven't got to him quite yet. But coming in at number 3 on my list, I got Dylan Ferrandis. Kid basically won this weekend on the 250 side of things on the West. He's putting together a pretty good season so far. I think he's second in the points. But the big thing is the West is kind of taking a break, and I think it's tough to come back from break and be on point. So I had Ferrandis there sitting at, number 3 on my list.
Yep, absolutely, and that's who I had at number 2. And the reason why I gave Ferrandis number 2 over Keselowski was the way that he had to battle it out, the way that he had to hold off Adam Santiarulo for that victory, it was a lot more exciting to me. It was a lot more compelling to me. Anytime that you have a battle like that, where you've got two guys going at it as hard as they can, especially in such a physical sport like Supercross, I know it's a different kind of endurance test. Obviously stock car racing is an endurance test, with longevity, and you're doing 500 laps, and Martinsville's a very physical track too. But just watching the way that those guys battled on that track up at CenturyLink Field in Seattle, I had to give it to Ferrandis just because I think it was a better show.
Yeah, Ferrandis, I think great effort. No arguments, and which is funny because you and I flip-flop our 3 and 2s. At 2, I had Brad Keselowski, and like I said, sometimes these things can be interchangeable. I just feel like, when you can dominate a race like that, like you said, 46 out of 500 laps. Martinsville, it's not the most exciting race because it's such a short track. Bristol's a short track, but it's got the high banks. I'm a Martinsville fan, but that's one of those. There's a lot of bumping and banging and lap traffic, and there's just a lot of crap that happens in Martinsville. And it's not an easy race to dominate just because there's always that there's a little bit of luck involved in Martinsville, truly is. And so that's why I had Keselowski there at number 2. You can dominate a cup race like that, even though I'm not a NASCAR fan, I'm going to drop you on my list.
Absolutely, and I think that we probably have the same number 1, don't we?
I'm assuming you're talking about Colton Herta, right?
I sure am.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm looking at my list, going, who else is out there, Chris? But if you didn't have SST guys, but yeah, I think it was a unanimous deal. Colton Herta, 18-year-old kid, youngest winner in IndyCar history, and we're talking we're talking Champ Car. We're going way back. Amazing effort by him, like you had said. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he dominated the race or anything, but at the end of the day, he crossed the stripe first. And, we knew this kid was going to be good. I've watched him in Indy Lights. I actually had a conversation on an airplane with him last year leaving the Indy Grand Prix. We shared a flight back to Phoenix together. But this kid, we saw in preseason testing. I think I had him on the power rankings once this year just because he was so fast at COTA in preseason testing. I don't know. I expect big things out of this kid, Chris.
Yeah, and I remember that. You certainly did. It was one of those picks that seemed a little out of left field at the time, but, it proved to be a pretty strong predictor. I mean, Colton was running in the top 3 for almost all of the race. He benefited a little bit from that late race caution being at the perfect time for him since he had already pit, and a lot of other guys hadn't. But regardless, he had to put himself in that position. And, I've got to say, obviously, I've watched Colton come up through the ranks as well. And, it's not actually the first time that he's made history at the Circuit of the Americas. And I tweeted about this during the weekend, but back in 2014 at X Games Austin, he became the first rallycross competitor born in the 2000s to compete at X Games when he ran GRC Lights with us. So that was actually my first time watching Colton race in person. And, obviously it was just kind of a fun deal to have that happen. But it's cool to see somebody who, even for only one race, who I got to kind of follow along with a little bit, come up through the ranks and, do some really great things in IndyCar as quickly as he has. Winning your 3rd race ever in a series is not an easy feat. It's an incredibly impressive thing to do no matter what level you're at, because of just how much work you have to do to adapt to a new vehicle and a new series and new drivers around you. But Colton was the class of the motorsports field, I think, this past weekend. And like you said, I expect a lot of great things from him in the years to come.
All right, Chris, well, we're up against a time break. Thanks a lot, buddy, and we'll be back after this on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our RZR vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than join Polaris in their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. Hey, this is Jim Beaver, host of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Getting down and dirty on the racetrack is all fun and games until it's time to get the dirt off. I know it all too well, which is why I've partnered with MotoShield Pro, the leaders in nanotechnology solutions on the racetrack and in off-road to combat mud and dirt buildup on my vehicles. MotoShield Pro keeps us from taking unnecessary damage and spending extra energy on cleaning. No matter the weather or the surface, having proper protection on all my vehicles saves me plenty of reprep time in a sport where every second counts. Prep your vehicle like a pro. Learn more at MotoShieldPro.com.
Life is all about sound. The sound of sports. The sound at the racetrack. And the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out VisionWheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. I'd like to welcome my General Tire and I guess sometimes Continental Tire teammate Ryan Beat to the line. How's everything going, Beat?
Going good, man. Wide open as usual. You know, things are crazy around here.
Yeah. Well, I know we were just talking before we got you on air. You know what I mean? You're asking what I'm up to. I was like, I'm getting ready for the UTV Worlds, and I start looking at it. And I was going to be like, yeah, man, the start of our season's crazy. It's like turn around, and it's like every month we've got a race. And then I started thinking, I'm like, well, that's like nothing, because Beat does that like all summer long, like every couple of weeks. And now this year you're going to be doing the Midwest. Like, you guys crank once that opener kicks off at Glen Helen, man.
Yeah, this season's extremely busy for us. It's going to be pretty wild. I have not only the Lucas Oil West Series, but racing the Lucas Oil Midwest Series on the East Coast as well. And then now I'll come to find out I'll be racing part of the season in SST for the Continental Tire team. And then on top of that, I got a couple desert UTV races going on this year. That should be pretty fun. So It's busy. I think I end up racing total every 2 weeks throughout the rest of the year.
That's gnarly, man. But you know what? It's like I talked to Rob Mack, and there was one year where he did like 5 series, and I know like you've done like, I think one year you did like 3 different divisions in Lucas. But even like Rob Mack said, he says, as a race car driver, he's like, opportunities knock. He's like, you got to take them, because you never know when the next call is going to be, you know?
Absolutely. So you try to take it while you can get it, you know?
Yeah. So talking about that though, I guess the big one we got to talk about, I want to talk about a bunch of stuff, but Stadium Super Truck, man. I know talking with General and Continental Tire, I know it was and obviously our listeners by now know it's the same company. They've got different divisions and things like that, a little bit different marketing groups, but some of the same. Talking with them, I know they had a big investment in IMSA, and also they were planning on doing some stuff with Global Rallycross. You know, Global Rallycross kind of went away, and then IMSA kind of switched, and they had some change around. So like Continental was sitting there, and they're like, what do we do? And I know they'd been talking with Robbie, so you dropped this, and it was like literally I got the press release at the same time as it announced, and I knew it was kind of coming, but I was like, man, that's a big opportunity for you and for Continental Tire, man. How did it all get put together on your end?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I literally got a phone call from Robbie Wednesday morning asking if I wanted to race Stadium Super Trucks. And I asked him, yeah, I'd love to. He said that, obviously it's a Continental Tire truck, and they had approved 3 guys to run that truck. Myself, Sheldon Creed, and Greg Biffle to run it for the rest of the season. So when he called me and asked me if I wanted to do it, I jumped at the opportunity and said, yeah, and said, when? And he goes, well, you'll be on a plane at 10 a.m. tomorrow on Thursday, and then in the truck on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it came together really fast. It worked out perfect for everybody involved. It was an awesome deal. I can't say enough good things about Stadium Super Trucks and Robbie Gordon, that whole series that they have going on there. It's a pretty cool deal. It's awesome atmosphere and, great fan base. It was a lot of fun. The trucks are so different, but it was cool. It was definitely interesting getting in one of those trucks for the first time.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was going to say, man. Some of these guys, guys like Matty Brabs and, you even mentioned Sheldon. I know Biffle even raced last year. Like, they've got some seat time. You, dude, it was thrown to the wolves, man. You never even sat in one of those trucks. You show up and it's like, go racing. And then I was like, man, if Beat can just survive this opening weekend, that's solid. Then you walked over the podium by the end of the weekend. I'm like, damn, dude, I got to say, that's a pretty solid opening weekend for SST for you.
Yeah, no, I was stoked. It's exactly how it was. Totally thrown to the wolves. Most of these guys get to go back, and they go back to Robbie's and they get to test for a little bit and spend some time in the truck. I literally showed up to the track, and we had to mount a seat and get me comfortable. And then, first practice out, we're doing 140 or 130 down the front straightaway in a truck I've never driven and I'm uncomfortable in. And it was pretty hairball for sure. So it was cool to go out, but it was, the biggest learning curve, I guess, I had not learning to drive the truck because, you learn to drive multiple vehicles, but the different aspect of racing and driving surface-wise, I've never raced anything asphalt. So when it came to it, racing, I've grown up racing nothing but dirt. So going to the asphalt was like a whole new learning curve, completely different world. So having to try to pick it up and learn quick, to try to keep up with guys like Matty and Robbie, these guys that got plenty of experience on asphalt was a learning curve, but it was totally fun. It was a good time, and it challenged me. That was probably the most I've enjoyed racing in a long time of the challenge of something that I didn't know, something totally foreign, and having to test my skills and test myself to pick it up quickly.
Yeah, well, and talk about that, because I know, like, I stepped in, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, and did quite a bit of testing in a global rallycross car, and and it was and my testing was on mostly tarmac, and we did a little bit of gravel, but like me finding that grip, because I'm used to backing stuff in, and you're kind of the same way, off road, we just kind of sling it out there, and it's still quick. But in these, like, dude, like, especially in SST with all that horsepower in the rear wheel drive, like, you got to be fighting for traction the whole time, right?
Totally. You're on asphalt and you're doing 100 plus miles an hour constantly, to where you're trying to keep the tire underneath you and finding that fine line of if you're hooking it up or you're bogging it or you're blowing the tire off it. So that's a very fine line of trying to get that vehicle hooked up, and then not only hooked up, but keeping the push out of it. It's easy for us dirt guys to go throw a car in there, whether it be asphalt or dirt. We know how to back a car in and carry a slide and carry a drift and drive it. But when it comes to actually carrying momentum and rolling the car through the center of the corner and off and carrying all that speed, it's a whole new ball game, So it was fun.
Yeah, well, and I got to ask, because I know, like, talking with Matty Brabs, first time he said, he's like, those steel jumps, like, even the off-road guys that have gone over, they say the first time you hit those, like, it's intense because you're coming at them like 100 miles an hour, and it's just this wall of metal there, and you want to lift up, but it's like everybody's hitting them like wide open. Like, there had to have been the first time you hit it a little bit of a pucker. You're like, what the heck is going to happen?
Oh, totally. You don't know if you're going to fly nose high or if you're going to endo the thing. So it's like, the first couple times I hit the jump, to be honest with you, I kind of just puss-footed it and just kind of jumped off it a little bit to get a feel of the suspension in the truck. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. And then, there's like 4 or 5 jumps on a track, at one time. So the first lap I did that, and the second lap I'm like, well, there's only one way to find out, and just flat-footed and mad at it and went for it. I saw the guys in front of me. They were jumping how hard they were hitting it, and they weren't lifting. So I'm like, all right, well, let's go. Let's do this. So, I figured I only had a few laps to learn it, and I'm pretty competitive as it is, and I want to win. So in my mind, I just figured, hey, either nut up or go home. So, you want to go and hang with the big boys and compete with them, I got to do what it takes. So just kind of sent it.
So do you know, obviously you ran there. I know the season's just getting rolling. I know you, Sheldon, Biffle are kind of all kind of switching out. Do you know the rounds you're going to be doing quite yet, or is it kind of, as things come, you guys will all figure it out?
We're actually working on a schedule today and the rest of this week as to who's going to be driving what rounds within that truck, depending on all three of our schedules. Most of us are, all three of us are pretty busy guys these days, and, working on that schedule is going to kind of be pretty key and pretty cool. So I'm excited, obviously the less those guys can drive, the better for me. And I'm sure it's, but it's all good. I'm excited, and I got two badass teammates, and between the three of us, we make a pretty solid team. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, and talking about that, you're talking about SST, but we're a couple of weeks out from Chandler and Lucas, and you left opening round there. I was fortunate enough to be able to call it. Dude, you're the points leader in Lucas right now. You clinched the win in the opening round. You got to be pretty excited leaving round number one, with I guess the quote-unquote the number one plate right now.
Yeah, no, it's good to carry that momentum, from, opening rounds at Glen Helen into Chandler. I've always done pretty well at Chandler. I like that track, so I feel good. Truck's good, team's good. We're kind of just picking up where we left off last year, did a little bit of homework during the off season and just try not to reinvent the wheel, but just improve, within our program, 5 to 10% in every area that we thought we could improve and go from there,
Yeah. Well, and talking about that, I know you and I talked kind of off the air when we were out there at Glen Helen, but, there's actually a lot of changes happening right now. And I know, Pro Light went to, a spec-type motor a few years ago, DOT tires. Had a ton of success with those. I know Pro 2 now, they're looking at that new Pro 2M motor. We saw a couple of guys running that. They've gone to DOT tires. Obviously, General had a great run there in both Pro Light and Pro 2 out there at Glen Helen. But, I kind of see, Lucas kind of making the series as a whole is kind of shifting right now. You know what I mean? And, I mean, how you liking that? Because I know even now you're talking about, hey, potential to do a Pro 2. Costs are coming down a bit with some of these moves they're making and things like that. I mean, do you feel like, the costs are starting to possibly come down a little bit and it's going to help, spur some growth in the series?
Yeah. So Lucas Oil's done a great job at kind of reviving this series and kind of getting some positivity back involved in it. Right. So the Pro Light class was kind of a mess for a couple of years there with rules changing every year and this and that. They finally got a solid rule package, which I've run for the past 2 years now. The LS engine, fuel injected spec, Motec setup engine that's been near bulletproof. This engine's been an awesome package. It's saved me money. It's saved other teams money. So, Pro Light's finally figured out, and they have that rule package locked in for the next 3 to 5 years. So with that, it creates stability, which helps bring people back into the sport, which is a great thing. And then as well as going into Pro 2 now, they're talking about improvising, the spec engine in that class. What they're talking about is going to a 410 cubic inch motor with spec heads on it to where it keeps the cost down. A lot of these guys that are running that engine currently are able to get a full season out of an engine, and you're not having, these engines are $35,000 to $40,000 versus an engine that was $70,000 to $90,000.
Yeah.
And then those $70,000 to $90,000 engines, those were engines that you literally had to freshen every 3 race weekends at $30,000 a pop. So, your engine build to run a Pro 2 and a Pro 4 was crazy expensive. So what I think what they're doing now is going to that 410 engine is really lengthening the longevity of our engines, which obviously helps the pocketbook, makes it less expensive for all of us to go racing, which in turn, adds car count to the field, which we desperately need, So with that being said, I definitely think everything's going in the right direction the way it needs to go. And as soon as they lock in this rule package for the next couple of years with this Pro 2 program, it's game on. I think there's going to be a lot of guys you see come out of the woodworks and a lot of guys you see move up into Pro 2 or Pro 4.
Yeah. Well, and I know you're one of the few guys this year. I don't know, I know there's some guys going to bounce back and forth, run a few Midwest events, a few West Coast events. You're one of the guys I know that stepped out there and said, "Hey, I'm doing both series, man." It's gotta have you stoked to go and run some of these Midwest tracks and and get a feel for I know just some new territory, right?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. It's when I saw the schedule come out and saw that there was opportunity for me to be able to race every short course race there is possible, I knew for, not only my program and me as a driver, but in the sport in general, for it to keep growing, we have to be a nationwide, or what you would call a nationwide series. We have to travel as far as we can and as much as we can, and as a racer, to do better, you want to race more. I mean, I can't only race 7 weekends a year and get it done with that, So for me, it wasn't an option. It was like I have to go race these other races if I want to keep advancing in my career and climbing to the top, of the greats. You want to one day want to be like a Rob McCackern or Robbie Gordon, and I feel to do that we have to be racing, and you don't get there by not racing. So for me, it really wasn't an option. It was, hey, we need to go do these races back east. We need to make it a nationwide series, not only just for our sake, but for the sport in general. I mean, the sport needs to travel, and it needs to be a nationwide series where, we cover all demographics across the U.S. and to do that, luckily I was able to put sponsorship, and all my sponsors, as crazy as they thought I was, backed it, agreed with it,
Yeah. All right. So before we let you go, we only got about 60 seconds left. Ryan, what's a UTV program? You mentioned at the start of the show you're going to go UTV racing in the desert a bit. Who are you racing with? How's that going to work?
Yeah, so my buddy Don Daly bought a car that we're working on right now and getting ready to go racing. We're going to hit a couple of the local Arizona desert races, and then the plan is probably race the 500, the 1,000 Mint, and Vegas to Reno next year. Or later this year and then into next year. Nice.
Well, we're stoked to have you out in the desert for sure. I know you've been trying to get out here for a while, so it should be a lot of fun, buddy. Well, congrats on the SST debut. Congrats on the points lead coming out of Glen Helen, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks out there at Chandler, buddy.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. Talk to you guys soon.
Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the 2-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for, no fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners. And for trick riders, a double side kicker in a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island, the best ride this side of the Rockies. Adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere is possible with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012.
You're listening to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. All killer and no filler.
All right, welcome back here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Just getting done with my General Tire teammate, Ryan Beat, current Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series points leader. Stoked to see that he's going to be dabbling in the Midwest as well, and doing stadium super trucks, and doing some desert racing in a UTV. Man, you want to talk about a guy that is going to be shredding it. I know Beat also told me actually the UTV that they're going to be racing is Chad Ragland's Cognito UTV, I believe, that was up for sale. So Chad, I mean, amazing guy. He knew everything about UTVs. Definitely sorely missed, but I'm stoked to see that UTV has a home, because that's a car that can definitely win races like right now. So good stuff, man. Definitely stoked to see that car will be back out in the back out in the desert, and has a really good home and a chance to win a lot of races. So good stuff. Stoked to be banging doors with Ryan Beat at some point later on this year. But thanks for tuning in, everybody. We're just wrapping up hour number 1. Hour number 2 getting ready to get underway. We've got Tiffany Stone calling in, Matt Martelli, and we've also got we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. We've got some Supercross and some odds and ends to walk our way through the month in motorsports coming up. So if you're just tuning in, make sure you go over to iTunes, hit the subscribe button to this show, and if you do that, you're also going to get our new show, the 4-Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Radio Show Off-Road Edition, that's debuting tomorrow. So all right, we are going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, I think we're going to talk a little Supercross right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on 4 wheels? The Polaris RZR brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris RZR because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team RZR because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris RZR because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris RZR because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRZR.com or follow at Polaris RZR on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RZRLife to share your story. Whether you're looking for a tire that balances high performance responsiveness and traction in wet and light snow conditions, excellent handling and traction in wet and dry conditions, or a summer performance tire designed with the driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has you covered. From the all-new G-Max RS to the Grabber ATX, no matter what you drive, General Tire will get you where you're going. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. General Tire, cruising with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out VisionWheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
All right, welcome back here to hour number 2 on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Jim Beaver keeping it locked and loaded. And, I think right now we got some Supercross results coming at you. I know we haven't talked a whole lot of Supercross yet so far today, maybe just a hair in the power rankings and such. But, speaking of next segment, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe we do a Q&A type of thing in the next segment. So if you got any questions for me, hit me up, and we will get those answered here in the next segment. So feel free to ping me at JimBeaver15 on the Twitter machine. Going to Supercross Seattle. Moving back to the West Coast. Been spending some time on the East Coast now. Moving back west. You're kind of hitting the stretch here in Supercross. And, we kind of got that finish line checkered flag in sight. Things are starting to shape up a bit. But looking at 250s, it was Dylan Ferrandis on the top of the box. Adam Cianciarulo in second. And I got to give a big shout out to Jimmy Dakatis there in the third spot. Moisman, Chris Blows, another guy, AZ local there. He finished up in fifth. Got to give a little bit of shout out to AZ guy. So point standings, it is Cianciarulo up in front. He is looking for, for that very first ever 250 championship. It's one of those we thought it would have come a couple years ago, right? But, guy is He's had some injuries and things like that, ups and downs, but I think this could be the year for Adam Cianciarulo. Dylan Ferrandis sitting pretty in that second spot, having a great run this year. Obviously, like we just talked about, walking away with that victory there in Seattle, so not a bad thing. And Shane McElrath, Sugar Shane McElrath, currently sitting third in points. So gotta give. He's one of our favorites here. Like, let's be honest. And I know he missed the round in Seattle. It's definitely going to hurt him in the points standings. But Sugar Shane, one of our personal favorites here on the show. Looking at 450s, it was Marvin Muskeen. Don't forget, he got docked a few points there for jumping during the Red Cross. We had Kenny Roxon, Eli Tomac. Point standings right now, it is Cooper Webb out front. Cooper having a phenomenal year. Marvin Muskin there in second, and Eli Tomac in the third spot in Supercross. So that is your current points and your results for Supercross. And we're going to take a short break. We come back. I guess we're going to do some questions here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show powered by Polaris Razor. So don't go anywhere. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it. So when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of Razor vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a Razor 170 like me, take the entire family out in a Razor XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new Razor XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris Razor. Check out the full Polaris Razor lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor. Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere is possible with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012.
The Subaru WRX and WRX STI. A 268-horsepower, turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine rockets the WRX around corners and down straightaways. A race-ready 305-horsepower turbocharged Subaru Boxer engine keeps the WRX STI a rally legend. The Subaru WRX and WRX STI. It's not a sibling rivalry. It's a tag team. Get the latest from Subaru Rally Team USA at Subaru.com/rally.
Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle in Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the 2-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for, no fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners and for trick riders, a double side kicker in a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island, the best ride this side of the Rockies. Adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver here, obviously, and I don't know. We're going to do a Q&A segment. I got one question kind of popped through. I don't know. You guys are a little not on the Twitter machine right now, but at JimBeaver15 on social media, I do want to mention a good friend of the show. She's been a guest in numerous times. We actually probably ought to catch up with her again very soon. But Haley Deegan, she posted up a video, and I'm assuming it's on all social media platforms at this point, but I just lost it on my phone here. Haley Deegan. She's become a social media marketing machine, but anyways, she goes to golf, and it looks like she's golfing with her dad, and it says all about the technique. She goes and she hits the ground like she's getting ready to bat or something like that, and literally takes the most crude swing. It looks like a hockey swing at the golf ball. And the ball just literally I don't know, goes straight down the fairway. I don't know. It's crazy, but it's one of those clips that goes viral. It's it's the thing about social media. You never know what's going to do good, right? You can see that people are but Haley does it and the thing goes viral, and that's me. I can post the stupidest thing and everybody goes nuts over it, or I can post something that I think is absolutely stupid. I'm like, nobody's going to care, and then all of a sudden, 200 shares later on Facebook or something like that, you're like, oh, wow, that actually did pretty solid. So Haley Deegan, you got to love when people, when they expose their personality. And that's what's about social media, right? You want to get people to attach to your personality. And I've interviewed Haley numerous times, and she's a bit of a badass, right? It's kind of like her dad, got a little bit of a chip on her shoulder, you know what I mean? Got that little swagger. She tells it like it is, and, she's got that edge, but, she got a funny, a goofball personality too. And so, you know what I mean? You expose people to that, and that's what gets people locked in, and, gets them to invest in you as a personality or an influencer or as an athlete or driver or whatever, and that's what you want, is people to invest in you. Haley Deegan doing a phenomenal job. Just saying. Anyways, I'm gonna reach out to her and Brian, see if we can get her locked into the show again sometime very, very soon. Definitely time to do that again. All that being said, we were going to do a Q&A segment this go around. I only kind of got one question kind of popped through. So if you got any that you want to hit me with, it's at JimBeaver15 on social media. I will be checking Twitter, not necessarily Facebook DMs right now, or Instagram DMs or anything right now. So at JimBeaver15. So man, and I'm looking, this is crazy. Wow. Ford, we're bouncing all around here. I was getting ready to do a Q&A, but this is like right in our wheelhouse, right? I'm clicking on this link as we speak. So what I love about Twitter. So sorry, I'm literally on the computer running things. 2018 Ford Bronco with removable hardtop and doors at dealer meeting. Ford dealers got to see Bronco as well as smaller baby Bronco. We knew this thing is coming, but it actually looks just like a Jeep Wrangler from the silhouette. So pretty rad. Anyways, digressing there. I know that's one of those where we've been talking about it off and on the past, since this show started. And now we're finally getting kind of glimpses at it under a cover. So looking forward to that. So anyways, went down a rabbit hole we weren't meaning to go down. Anyways, got a question here in our Q&A segment. Once again, at JimBeaver15. This is from Chris in Texas. And Chris writes in, went out to COTA, went out to Circuit of the Americas for the IndyCar race. He's like, there was people there. It wasn't necessarily a packed house. Hopefully the event comes back. Great racing. Love the event. What makes an event big? What gets people in the stands? He's like, some IndyCar races, some events are packed house. Other events, it's a ghost town. He's like, it's not basically, what makes a good event? Well, I think it's all relative, right? I mean, it's timing, it's ancillary events. There's so much that goes into it. So let's look at the big ones. You want to just talk about IndyCar, right? IndyCar, you got Indy 500 aside, because Indy 500 is just the Indy 500. It's going to be a packed house because it's a badass event, right? It's just like something like Crandon. It's been around for 50 years. Everybody knows Crandon is Crandon. People are going to show up. So looking at just something like this event, it's a first-year event. I think that COTA is tough because it's a Formula One track, and you've got the fly-in crowds and the fly-in people that'll follow Formula One. They're going to pack the house, right? It's a global series, so people are going to pack the house for Formula One. IndyCar, what will that track hold? 200,000 people? Like, there's not going to be an IndyCar event. 150,000. I don't know what COTA holds, but you're not going to fill that up, right? So even if there is 30, 40,000 people there in attendance, which is a lot of people, it's still going to look like a ghost town. It's kind of like the Indy Grand Prix. I love that event. I'm probably going this year. Great racing, cool track. Problem is that it is, it's at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So even if you get 30,000 people, it looks like a ghost town compared to the Indy 500. It just is what it is. So yeah, it makes things tough. And then you've got, so there's that, so I don't want to say COTA was a failure because I don't know attendance numbers, but, you got that going against it. But you look at something like Long Beach, it's in a city center, it's in Los Angeles, the weather's beautiful. People go to Long Beach Grand Prix, they don't even watch the race. And let me tell you, that race is tough to spectate. It's long, it's spread out, it sucks to walk around. People do not go to Long Beach for any sort of racing at all. They go because it's a party. There's bars, there's bands, there's music. There's literally like a automotive festival there. There's kids, like a kids carnival area. People go there because of it's an event. It's like going to a state fair type of thing. It's not necessarily going to an auto race. The Mint 400, I know people go to the Mint 400. They don't even go to watch the race. They just go to Fremont Street, things like that. It's because it's an event. There's something every night. There's parties. There's drinking. There's Fremont Street. There's the Off-Road Festival on Fremont Street, a.k.a. Contingency Road. There's music, there's the Pit Crew Challenge. It's an event. You know what I mean? People can go do something one night, go do something else, come back. So I think it's these event type things. Detroit Grand Prix is a great one with the doubleheader there. So, and they're all around metro city centers. And, I think if, that race was, I think if COTA was at Dallas, I don't know. I don't know. Dallas is just a bigger town. I don't know the answer if there is a specific, I want to say if it was a downtown street race, it probably would do better. But I think the event's great, and I think we're selling it short. I think COTA is going to be back. It's an amazing track, one of the best facilities in the world. So I don't know, I don't know to answer that. Obviously, Supercross packs it in because it's like a 3-4 hour show. It's like going to a movie, right? You go, you can sit down, you can order your beer, your food. It's clean. You don't have to walk. You sit in a show and you're entertained for like 3-4 hours straight. It's like going to a movie or going to a concert. That is like what Supercross is. So you're always going to pack seats for something like that. Same thing with Monster Jam. It's easy. It's just a Saturday night thing. And I think that's why Glen Helen works, Under the Lights for Lucas. Same concept. It was a packed house out there 2 weeks ago. And it was because literally it was Saturday night. Show started at about 7 o'clock. It ran through about 10:30. People pay, what it was, $20 to get in, $25 to get in. I should know this. I don't know what ticket prices are for Lucas. Sorry about that, Lucas. But so people get to show up on a Saturday night. So instead of going to the movies at 7 o'clock at night, hey, I'm going to take the kids to the race. So you take them out, you sit there, you're entertained in the bleachers. There's T-shirt vendors, stuff like that. Eat your beer, eat your beer. You drink your beer, you eat your nachos and your burger. You watch the race trucks. 10:30, boom, you go home, and you're in your own bed. Right? It's an easy event to So I think you either need one of these massive events. Where there's concerts and all this other stuff going on, or you need something that's compact, concise, small. It's in a window of time in an evening on a weekend, and people can go, consume it, go home, go to bed. I think that those are the hot tickets for making an event successful, in this current motorsports landscape. I think it's easier said than done. It's the people who, you look at Supercross attendance, it's great. You look at outdoor motocross, it's also great, but it's two complete different demographics. Motocross is people who want to go and camp out for a weekend and check everything out. Supercross is people who want to pay $40 for a ticket and go be entertained for 3 hours. Complete different, crowd. And obviously there's dirt bike people that go to both, you know what I mean? But it's a different type person that wants to go to an outdoor motocross race, that wants to go to a supercross race. And, I think it's the same thing with IndyCar and, whatever. It's, events. Sometimes you've got the party people that want to go and just take it out and then check it out. And then other times you got the people who actually want to check out, you got people that actually want to check out what's actually happening on the track. So, anyways, I think it's about time for us to take a short break. And when we come back, we got Tiffany Stone here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on four wheels? The Polaris Razor brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris Razor because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team Razor because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris Razor because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRazor.com or follow at Polaris Razor on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story.
You're listening to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. All killer and no filler.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver here, along with my partner in crime, Tiffany Stone, who is bedridden with sore muscles and a haze of sports cream right now, right?
Pretty much. I feel like I should be taking an ice bath or something. I mean, I knew I was in shape, but this past weekend kind of kicked my ass a little bit.
Yeah, what did you say? I don't know. I know you played volleyball, and I saw some crazy stat. You're telling me 3,500 calories in one day, like a dozen volleyball games. Like, most people go, I'm going to go and play a game of volleyball, maybe two. Like you, nah, we got to do at least double digits if we're going to do this.
Pretty much. So, like in high school and college. So high school and college, I played volleyball, and then I stopped for a little bit. But then, I still continued to play like a intramural type of thing, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Well, I actually had a weekend off, which was surprising. So they were like, hey, do you want to play in this shorties tournament? So every female has to be 5'8" or under. So I'm like the tallest, because I'm like pretty much 5'8". So I did that. And you're right, I played 13 games of volleyball. It took me just playing time 4 hours and 38 minutes. I made over 14,000 steps, almost 8 miles in a 30 by 30 foot court. And my heart rate for that entire time was about 155 beats per minute.
Holy crap. That's some insane numbers. That's one of those, how they have those jogger apps where, it tracks your trail, you know what I mean? When you're running around, you do 5 miles and it tracks you and then you can see kind of on the map. It would be funny to see on the court, the thing zoomed in and just see these zigzags going back and forth, in that, on that small square for, for a day.
No, and that's the crazy thing. So I still work out. I'm pretty fit, like I was saying, but I gained 12 or 13. I was like, okay, I'm getting my age is starting to show and all this stuff. But it was a blast. I haven't been able to do something like that in a long time, and still being able to. And my mom came out, so she was giving me a hug because she's like, I just remember all these memories of you in high school and college. This is what my weekends were like. And so it was cool to kind of bring it full circle and just be there and, push yourself a little bit. So it's cool to still consider yourself, I guess, an athlete in that capacity for a day.
Yeah, right. So what else has been going on? I know we got UTV Worlds. We're about a week and a half out of that. Obviously, you and I were out at the Mint 400. Have we had you on air since the Mint 400? I know we missed last week. It's been this crazy, whirlwind on my end. I know it's been a whirlwind on your end. I guess we could probably talk about the Mint a little bit. I don't know. What the hell else you had going on?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think we've chatted since the Mint. You and I will see each other again at UTV World Championship, like you said, in a week and a half. So I'm excited for that. But Mint was kind of crazy. You know, I want to say like a big shout out to Justin Lofton for being a 3-time champ. You know, being able to finish the Mint 400 once is crazy. Being able to finish it twice is crazy. Now being able to do it 3 times, it was awesome. And then they brought back the bikes this year, which was pretty cool. So, you know, congratulations to Ricky Brayback on that too. You know, they haven't had that since the 70s. So being able to do something 40 plus years later and be crowned the new champs in the bikes and the motorcycles is pretty awesome. And that's why it's just cool. And, you know, I had a chance to talk to Ricky because I was doing a bunch of the driver interviews after they came up on stage. And Ricky says he likes to drive blind. And so it's kind of cool that he's like, you know, nobody gets to pre-run the Mint 400. And obviously, lap after lap for certain vehicles, and then, you know, day, because it was a 2-day race, it's completely different, you know, from one day to the next, and never being able to pre-run it. And Ricky's saying he likes to be able to go in blind. That's awesome in itself, because every turn, every whoop, every bump, everything, and especially going through certain sections of that track, too.
Yeah, that's... Driving with 4 wheels blind is one thing, because you've always got that protection of the roll cage. But doing an event on a dirt bike blind, I mean, those guys are just beasts, and girls. I can't say guys because I know you know, there was an all women's team. There's a women's division now. I know my friend Jackie. She you know, she raced Iron Woman style on you know, the event. Like, you know, there's a lot of ladies out there, so I can't say guys. But anybody who races a dirt bike at the Mint or any desert race blind like that, that's next level, man. You got to be focused at all times.
No, and that's what I'm saying. You know, like, it's one thing, like you're saying, to do it with the roll cage, with half all that stuff, but just to have nothing except protective gear on you, that's crazy. And then, you know, going into more champions and stuff like that, Mitch Guthrie Jr. coming off of his King of the Hammers win, and then winning at UTV back-to-back again at the Mint 400. So it was like back-to-back. And is it, you know, how many more back-to-backs can this kid get? It's crazy. Right.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just crazy how good he is, and that's like a brand new car. That's what's nuts. Well, as when Hammers was in a brand new car. You know, it's like where are these teething issues that people have with new race cars? Like Mitch, non-existent with him. Like somehow, I mean, he's got skill, but he's also getting the luck. And when you can combine both of those at the same time, man, it's crazy what you can do. And Mitch, he's riding a wave right now.
No, exactly. And I just saw that he posted, and, you know, that BF Goodrich Tires, they jumped on board for this year. And not that I'm, you know, like a driver in that aspect or a racer or any of that, but I have the KM3s on my Jeep, and I don't think I would ever go with a different tire than what I have right now. And so it was going to show that those BF Goodrich tires, you know, at King of the Hammers, at Mitt, they're really holding up. You know, the interliner, obviously nothing's coming apart. And so it's really cool to see one tire kind of dominate, and why they are so, you know, forceful out in the desert. And so I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen at Worlds too.
Yeah, it's interesting how we have, you know, shifts in tires, you know, and obviously General Tire, a big part of this show. And then, like, we went to the West, you know, we had the opener for Lucas at Glen Helen. General Tire dominated that event. Like, they took the Pro 2 win with Jarrett Brooks. Corey Winter led the entire Pro 2 race until the last lap. He was on General Tires. You look at Pro Light, Ryan Beat destroyed everybody, won it wire to wire on General Tire. So it's crazy how, like, certain tire manufacturers get momentum in certain years. Like, on short course side of things, right now it's all General Tire. On the desert, like you said, we've got another brand, and it's just funny how we have those shifts, you know, in these tire companies. It's like they get that momentum, and they just start clicking off the W's. No, exactly. And then, like what you were saying with General Tire, it's once they've dominated a certain, you know, class or a certain sport, it's kind of like they figured it in. They've got everything dialed in. It's like ready to go. So if you're wanting to race short course, then you know what tire to race. You want to race desert, you know what tire to race. You want to go rock crawling, you know what tire to use. So it's kind of cool that once that one, you know, great tire gets out there and people are winning on that, it kind of showcases everything. And I'm a true believer that a lot of races, obviously you need a great driver, great co-driver, perfect setup for the truck, but
if your tires aren't doing it for you, that's a lot where I think personally that it's a tire game sometimes.
Yeah, off-road, I mean, motorsports is all about tires, but off-road specifically just because, you know, the rocks and the crazy-ass terrain and everything else is, you know, always throwing something at you. But speaking of what, obviously we got UTV World Championships, week and a half. You're going to be out there. Past that, what do you got? I know you got Detroit Grand Prix there in June, but what do you got between now and then? I know you're bouncing around doing, like, all kinds of modeling stuff, and I don't know, like, you're in Ohio. Like, I can't even keep track of you, T-Stone, and you and I talk pretty frequently.
No, I know. It was funny. I was just out in Grand Rapids shooting some stuff. So, like, I was wearing some housekeeping. And if you catch up with my Instagram stories, of course, you'll see just the random things that I do. But I have not told you this, Jim, and I'm the type of person that I can speak about some things, but I really, really wait till it's out there. But I just signed up with a new series. So I will be pit reporting and hosting and doing some stuff for a new series. It's a little bit different. I will throw it out there later on, but I'll give you guys a hint. It's something that I have not done before. So I have not had any real experience in this series or real experience in this type of motorsports. So I'm excited for this. And I'll keep everybody informed, but until I'm there, I usually don't say anything, but something new is happening this summer, and I'm kind of excited for it.
Well, now you've got me excited. So we'll have something new to talk about for sure. But, that's exciting. You know, and it's funny with this. I always laugh because, like, I can have my 2019 planned out. Hey, I'm going to be doing this year. You know what I mean? And then it's like 1 month in, it's like you just rip up whatever plans you have, you throw it up in the air, and it's like, it's like I talk about sponsorships and relationships and things like that and how it takes sometimes years and years to put a deal together. But on the flip side, you get to know these people and you're at all these events and you never quite know when they're going to call and say, hey, we want to hire you, or hey, we want to do something. And I'm sure that's this case. You know what I mean? Like you met somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, you get a call and you're like, yeah, I'm in. And it's not anything you planned for, a year ago, right?
No, and that's exactly what it is. So that's, a good reason why you're only as good as the last thing that you did. That's what I've always kept in my brain, and whenever I'm doing something and trying to move forward, it's you're only good as the last thing you did. Nobody really cares, okay, cool, Tiffany, you did this 5 years ago. What have you done within those 5 years? And so that's why I'm really blessed and thankful to be able to do stuff like this, and I keep that in mind because you're absolutely right. It's somebody that I've worked with before in the past, with a different series, and they were like, hey, they're throwing out names, and once your name's out there and you do good work and people follow that and you're super professional about everything, that's when those random phone calls like, hey, I'm such and such from such and such, grab your number from here, we'd like to talk to you about an opportunity for you. And then it kind of just spirals from there. So that's why I always say you're only as good as the last thing you do. You're only as good as your last race. So whatever you do, go out there and be the best for that particular one, because you don't know what will happen.
No, true story right there. That's T-Stone Rules to Live By, number 567, I'm going to call it.
That's true. I think you're starting to come up with more rules than I am.
Mine are always comedic, though. So you do the serious ones. I mean, it's like, yeah, well, I don't know. You never know what's going to happen. But always fun catching up, T-Stone. Appreciate it. We'll definitely do another one next week. And we'll be back after this on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Do you race, or are you a weekend warrior? Have you checked on the date on your helmet recently? Don't get caught off guard by using an outdated helmet. Impact Racing, the leader in motorsport safety, has new SA 2015 helmets to fit your budget. Whether you're looking for a helmet with a full carbon fiber shell to take you to victory at the Indy 500, or just looking for some helmets for a weekend at Glamis, Impact Racing has a helmet for you. Find out more information at impactraceproducts.com or on Facebook at Impact Safety.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
You're listening to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. All killer and no filler.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'd like to welcome my my buddy Matt Martelli to the line. I don't know, Matt, we've talked right before the Mint 400. We got UTV Worlds. I like to say you and your brother. I feel like every single year it's like you guys have a couple months where it's like let's just cram everything. It's like ripping the Band-Aid off. Let's get it all over at once, right?
Yeah, it definitely feels like that. Well, first quarter to us is really special every year because of the Mint and then UTV World Championship. We're excited. It's like new year. We want to go. It's time to go racing. We've all been sitting at home during the holidays, wanting to race, wanting to talk about racing. And, now it's go time, perfect weather, perfect time of year. And, that's why we're doing it first quarter. But, beyond these two events, we will be doing other events. So stay tuned for that. But a big one to talk about today is UTV World Championship.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm registered for the event, and I guess I never went on, and I got a press release today you guys sent out, and I started looking at it, and then I had to go onto the site because the scheduling has changed. I didn't realize, like, in the past, everything was crammed into Saturday as far as racing goes. This year, you guys are racing on Saturday and Sunday, and this is just me living in my own bubble, I guess. I didn't realize that until today, man. This is a 2-day event.
Well, yeah, it's always been our goal to be multiple days, and give everybody more time to race. Because we hate timing people out. Like that's the worst thing as a promoter is having to cut somebody off and not letting them finish laps. So there's only so much racing we can cram into one day, and especially with the hundreds of entries that we're getting every year, this thing grows about 20 to 30%. So it's just we're running out of daylight. Now, we could race into the night. That just makes it difficult, though, for everybody else if we did one super long day into the night race. So what we chose to do this year was go and get pretty much all the racing done on Saturday, except for the short course racing, which will be done on Sunday morning. Still we should be done early afternoon, give everybody plenty of time to travel home and get back to work on Monday. So I think it's going to be great. It's going to give everybody room to race and not have to be so stressed with, us getting people off course. So it's better racing for everybody.
Yeah, well, and, this event, I know this was one of those, it was kind of, the Mint was we talk about the Mint, and that's, an established event that had this, amazing history. It went away for a few years. It came back. You and your brother got involved and have taken it to the next level. Then we've got the UTV World Championship, and this was just literally a brainchild. You know what I mean? There was no established event. It was like, hey, UTVs need a place, we need a marquee event to crown a champion. This was just literally like the brainchild of you guys, right?
Yeah, look, when we got involved in the UTV market, we knew right away that UTVs were going to be massive, and it was always our goal to help, steer where this all went. We didn't want it to blow up and ruin what we had as off-road culture. We wanted to be responsible and shepherd it in a responsible way. So one of the only ways that we could do that is by, jumping in and putting on the first big UTV only event that combined desert racing and short course racing together. And so that's what we did. And obviously, you look at it now as hugely successful, and, we're really pumped. I mean, I can't tell you how much I love these vehicles. They're so fun personally to go out and explore and race in, but also it's the gateway drug to off-road. I love sharing them with people. I love putting people in them because it's always this aha moment where they realize, okay, this is what I'm missing out on. This is what off-roading is all about. So that's really what the UTV World Championship is a celebration of UTV racing and UTV culture.
Yeah. Well, and I got to say, talking about UTV racing, I mean, we got a lot more to talk about the event in a minute, but I want to talk about a couple of marquee people, and you posted something up today. I've interviewed him a couple of times already this year. This kid, blows my mind, but we got to talk about Seth Quintero. This kid went into this season, never had a desert win. We all knew this kid was like next level good, just even being the age he is. But you posted something else. I mean, he's 2 for 2 this year. Matty went into this year, never had a win. Now we got Seth with a win at the 250, a win at the Mint 400. Man, this kid is crazy good.
Yeah, Seth Quintero is absolutely just killing it, and he's 16. He's going to get better and better. And again, this is exactly what I'm excited about with these vehicles. Is like, you know, when Trophy Carts came out, I was pretty pumped because I thought, like, wow, now we have a chance to have a Pee Wee League in off-roading, and that's going to spawn a whole new generation of kids, and it did. But they got really expensive, and you know, along came the Razor 170 and then the Razor 570, and we were the first ones to implement, you know, youth racing with those vehicles. And, you know, and it took off. And so Seth is the byproduct of that. We actually sponsored him, gave him his first race car, his first full-size race car, I guess you'd call it, his first 1,000. And, you know, helped him, you know, get out there and do more racing. And we also, you know, introduced him to Red Bull and just wanted to see him grow. And it's been awesome. I mean, the kid is a true champion at heart, but he just needed some help and some opportunity. He comes from a great family. And that's really what this is all about is, you know, seeing people succeed and, you know, do well in life. And, you know, racing is just a piece of that. So no, he's done tremendously well. I'm really proud of him. I'm stoked for his future. He has a big future in off-road racing. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed. Like, getting his first win in only his second year of desert racing is huge at Parker, and then he came in and got the win at the Mint, which is crazy. I mean, when you look at the field of who's racing and how close the vehicles are to each other, I don't think there's any other form of racing currently, not just off-road racing, that's as competitive as UTV racing. So a win at the Mint, a win at Parker, and a win at UTV World Championship, significant. You know, it means you've beat the best of the best in one of the most difficult races of the year. So, you know, I'm really excited for him. I'm excited for all the other guys that are coming too. I mean, it's stacked. It's the who's who. Everybody's coming from short course. Everybody's coming from desert. You know, everybody talks about their championships and all this stuff. And, you know, at this point, none of that stuff really matters. It's, did you win the UTV World Championship? That's really what matters. Yeah, no, I agree. You know, it's funny. Our sports become that way. You know what I mean? Like, you want to talk about, you know, wins, and it's like, you know, especially on UTV side of things, you know, there's three that matter. You know, the Mint 400, the UTV World Championship, and then, you know, the Baja 1000, you know, and those are the three. Like, those are the big three for UTV racing, at least in the desert, you know. If you can say you won those three, I mean, that's, you know, that's a feather in your cap, you know. And obviously Vegas to Reno, Baja 500, those are big events also, but it seems like those are the big three. Like, you ask any driver, what are the three races you want to win? Boom, they're going to name those three off. Yeah, I mean, look, it's you know, a little bit of human nature to only have a limited amount of mind share. You know, it's when you talk about other sporting events, they go, who won the Super Bowl? Well, the Super Bowl of off-road racing is the Mint 400, and the Super Bowl of UTV racing is the UTV World Championship. So that's the one that counts. It's the deepest field. It's got the most on the line. You know, it's in front of, you know, the most people. It's got the most exposure by a landslide. You know, so nobody's doing what my brother and I are doing as far as exposing the sport to new eyeballs. And we're excited. We're going to continue to do that. It's, you know, great racing, great racers. We have great sponsors. So, you know, we're just going to keep pushing forward and showing people how fun this form of racing is. Yeah. Well, and that being said, you know, it's the thing about the UTV World Championship that's unique too is it's a desert race, but, you know, it's also like this crazy wild card event where it's, you know, short, you know, it's like 10 laps, you know, it's like 15, 16 mile laps. I don't know what the mileage is going to clock in this year, but then we have this thing called
the Land Rush start. And I got to tell you, Matt, like being in the car a couple of years now, like that is wild. You got guys, you're hitting people. You got people hitting you from behind. You got cars flipping over in front of you. Like that first like mile or two after that start, it's the wildest like 2 miles in any motorsport anywhere. I guarantee it.
Look, we're racers, so when we design races, we want them to be races that we would want to race, you know? And I don't like watching boring racing. To me, you know, when you see boring racing, you're like, hey, what are we doing here? You know, when a guy checks out, you know, and everybody knows, okay, this guy's going to win, they can walk away, it's boring, you know?
Yeah.
We want to see exciting door-to-door, you know, racing, and Land Rush Start is one of the ways to guarantee that in the first few laps. It just levels the playing field. It makes it exciting, you know? So I think it's great. And again, like I always compare off-road racing to MMA. And to me, what the UTV World Championship is like is, you know, if we got all the top MMA fighters in the world, stuck them in a cage and went, all right, let's see who's the toughest, you know? So yeah, I mean, we want to make it exciting. We want to make it exciting for the racers. We want to make it exciting for the fans. For the sponsors, or really for everybody, you know, and Land Rush Start is, you know, one of our favorite ways to start a race.
Yeah, no doubt. I got to tell you, man, it's just being behind the wheel when that happens. It's exciting too. And you know, it's not something that you want to do every single race, but it's one of those like you kind of look forward to it every year, just because I don't want to say the novelty of it, but just because it's something different, you know. And the fact that it's a dead engine start, that even makes it even more interesting, you know.
Well, it's funny because we're actually changing that this year. So this year we'll be doing a live engine start.
Okay.
And the reasoning behind that is we found out that there are some manufacturers that have a better start ratio than others. So just to make it level, you know, we have a live engine start on this one. So it should be even more interesting and make the start even tighter.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned the manufacturers. That's what's actually exciting about desert racing and the UTV industry is we've got all these manufacturers that are coming in, and they actually care. You know, there's a lot of motorsports where there's manufacturers, but they're not really manufacturer level support. Desert racing is specifically the UTVs, man. Manufacturers are paying attention. They're investing their money. They care about things like that.
Well, you know, look, everybody knows that when racing started, it was win on Sunday, buy on Monday, and that faded away, and mostly because the vehicles that they're racing in NASCAR and other forms of racing don't resemble the vehicles that you go into the dealership and buy. Here, these are factory vehicles. So, you know, we even have a rally class now, which is a factory vehicle with safety equipment, and you're racing. So, you know, that's what's rad about UTV racing is that you can go to your dealership, go to your local Polaris dealership, your local Can-Am dealership, your local Honda dealership. It really doesn't matter. You know, buy a vehicle, it's a payment. Get your safety equipment, you're going to spend a few grand on your credit card upgrading that, and you're racing. You know, there isn't any other form of racing that is that inexpensive to get into, and I'm telling you, there's no other form of racing that's as fun. So, you know, that's why the factories are engaged. I see more engagement coming. We've been talking to a lot of them, and they all are seeing the light. It's funny because, you know, being pioneer in this sport, we've been talking to these guys for years, and now I'm having these conversations with these guys, and most of the time they're like, you know what, you were right. And that's based on us growing up in off-road culture. We've seen this. We know what these vehicles are capable of. We understand the value of them. And, you know, I think it's just going to continue to grow, you know, both in the United States and really globally, you know?
Yeah, no, completely agreed. All right, Matt. Well, before we let you go, I guess give us shotgun here. We got about 45 seconds left. 3 drivers in turbo, which has kind of become the premier division that fans should watch out for.
Who are my favorites, or who are the 3?
No, who do you think 3 to watch out for at the UTV Worlds? Who's on fire? Who's carrying the momentum into this race?
Well, you know, obviously Guthrie, he's also on a roll. You know, he's coming in with 2 wins back to back. He had a win at the Hammers and he had a win at the Mint. But man, that the field is stacked. I could probably name 30, but I'm going to name a few that I think are due. Sims is due. Watch out for him. He's really fast. He's really hungry right now. It's due. You know, RJ's going to be there. Obviously, RJ's fast. RJ's brother's going to be there. Ronnie, everybody knows that Ronnie is one of these guys in this type of race who will just hang it out.
Yep.
Cognito, you know, Justin Lambert at Cognito, he's another one. You know, there's a whole host of guys, you know, both in NA and Turbo that are there to win.
All right, Matt, and we're running up against a break, but we'll be back after this on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle in Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver just wrapping things up here, and thank you guys for keeping it locked and loaded. Been an amazing show. Have to give a big shout out to all of our partners: Polaris Razor, General Tire, Subaru, Vision Wheel, Gibson Exhaust, Dirtfish, MotoShield Pro, Blue Water Resort and Casino, My Medic, Go Parts. We got just some amazing partners here. Impact, that help make the show happen, and couldn't do it without them. So thank you to everybody that supports us. Once again, it's at Jim Beaver 15 if you want to follow me on social media. And definitely go over, subscribe to the Down and Dirty Radio Show on iTunes. If you subscribe, you're also going to get our new show, which debuts tomorrow. Don't forget about that. We got a new show debuting tomorrow on Wednesdays. It is the 4-Wheel Parts Down and Dirty Radio Show Off-Road Edition, and it is powered by Polaris Razor as well. That is going to be dropping into that feed. It's not going to be live, but you can get it on our website, Podcast One, or subscribe on iTunes to the Down and Dirty Radio Show feed. I've also got my other show, Project Action. Subscribe to that. Check us out on the web at downanddirtyshow.com. And if you're looking for 15% off at Dirtfish, it is the coupon code JBDirtfish. That'll get you 15% off. So, thank you guys for continuing to support us. Couldn't do it without you. Seriously, couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you guys once again, and we'll see you next week. And make sure and tune in tomorrow to our new show, and tune into Project Action on Podcast One on Thursdays. Be safe. As always, game on.